Last month, we reported the Minot Public School District auctioned off the former Bell Elementary School. We caught up with the new owner to learn more about their plans for the property. I Help Incorporated, doing business as Open Gate Church, won the auction. The group's president and pastor, Roy Levitt, says the property will be the new home of their church. He explains I Help Incorporated started in the 1980s, and after opening a church in the 2000s, they decided to combine forces. They bought the property for $840,000 and picked up the keys last week. Levitt adds they were needing more space, and buying the school was cheaper than building somewhere.
This will give us all the opportunity that we need to do. Classrooms, one of the main things we will be doing is starting a homeschool co-op out here.
He says the group expects to have their first church service in April. They plan to keep the playground open to the public. Open Gate is looking to sell its two existing buildings on North Hill.